Hello everyone, today we're gonna make this beautiful bookmark. Let's get this started. So to start with, we are gonna use some stickers. I'm using this specific one because I like matte stickers rather than PET when it comes to window envelopes. So I'm gonna cut these three-fold that I found in the thrift store. So I believe this was used for a wedding. So I'm gonna cut it because I think it's too wide for the bookmark that I want to make. So most of my books are like letter size, or well, I guess the half of a letter size piece of paper. So this bookmark, in the size it is, it would be too long. So I'm gonna cut it up. I want to keep this part in the bottom that has some embossing. So I'm gonna cut the top. I think this way makes more sense. And alright, I think that this is the right size for what I'm looking for. And again, I'm gonna make a square here using the size of this. What I did is cut around the paper, and I even took away like the white spaces between the arms. And so I'm gonna measure this with my ruler and a pencil, probably in the back of the bookmark rather than in the front. And I'll be getting back in a little bit. So I made these measurements. As you can see, I made a rectangle here. And what I'm gonna do next is pretty obvious. I'm gonna just get a mat and I'm gonna put it to cut the middle. I usually don't use much the knife to cut these. I guess a precise knife like this one would be good to cut the square, but I really prefer scissors. Okay, I guess I had to pressure more, to put more pressure on it. So I'm gonna cut it with scissors and I'll be right back. So I cut it up, as you can see, and now I'm gonna use a piece of plastic that I get from the backing of PET tapes. So she fits perfectly there, and I found one that actually is more or less the size of her. And so I'm gonna paste her in the piece of plastic and then paste that again back into the bookmark. So I'm just gonna have to peel her. Okay, I hope that I'm not the only one who suffers peeling stickers. So there we go. I'm just gonna cut a little bit of her at the bottom because I want to make sure that I'm putting this in the right place of the plastic. There we go, more or less like that. I take away all distractions so I don't mess it up. And I think that she looks good here, so I'm just gonna push. Well, actually a little bit to the left would have been better, but it's okay. It's okay. It's not coming out now. And there you go. We have our girl and she looks amazing. Okay, so the next step is gonna be gluing it to the bookmark, and I'm using this roll of glue because I think it's easier, and this part comes out really easily actually if you make mistakes like I did. So just keep going and go all around her. You can also put tape, you can put glue. Sometimes I use tacky glue, but I don't like the results because it gets really messy, and so I prefer to use this one. And then I'm just gonna make sure that she fits correctly to the place, and I'm gonna line with her legs mostly, and I think that we have her, and she looks great. And so I think that she's actually looking great. So I'm gonna put these stickers away and just cut the corners. I'm gonna the bottom corner, I'm gonna just round them, and for the top corner I want this to look more like a big tab. So I'm gonna just put use this puncher to have this part cut. And now that she has a gray cat, I really love how the window look like. I think it's very pretty. So I'm gonna use this backing paper. I stamp a bunch of paper every month or whatever, and I just have that as backing paper. And I have a lot of squares or little pieces of paper, or book paper, or tissue paper, or whatever I have that is kind of a neutral color. And they are very useful to make this kind of projects. And so I'm gonna be cutting this up, and I think what I'm gonna try to do is just use a lot of neutral colors, because I have the main piece that has very vibrant red colors with a lot of detail also, because the dress of this girl has a lot of detail, very floral. She has a bow in her dress, she has flowers in her hair, so I really don't want to distract the attention from where she the way she looks like. So I'm gonna add this. And now I have this vintage paper that is a little bit too big, so I'm gonna cut it up in two. And I usually like to mirror kind of look what I do in the right and in the left, or in this case it's gonna be up and down. So if I put these pieces of paper in the bottom, I'm gonna try to mirror the same pieces of paper, or the same, more or less the same colors, in the in the top of the paper. So I'm using this washi tape as well, and this is one of the washi tapes that are really how do I say, it's just very versatile, because it's very neutral color. It really, you can put that wherever you want, and it's never gonna disappoint. Alright, we're gonna do the same here, the same piece of paper that we use in the bottom. And again, I like mirroring what I'm doing in the bottom and in the top. And sometimes having rough edges really adds a lot to the collage. So that's what I'm doing here. I think it looks gorgeous there. And I'm gonna use this other piece of paper left over like that, so we can layer this part as well. And we're gonna use more of this washi tape maybe later. And again, I'm trying to do exactly the same thing. And as you can see also, I'm not covering anything in the very bottom of the page, because it has this beautiful embossing that I don't want to cover. And if I cover, I'm gonna do that with something that is not too strong, so I can still see that beautiful embossing. Okay, I'm gonna keep using this washi tape here. It's very easy. I still love the main piece. Anyway, now using the some stamps. I like using tiny stamps, and I also make mistakes with those tiny stamps. I stamp this wrong, but it's okay, we can always cover it. And I'm gonna close this up. Usually just cut a little bit at the end of the tape, and I stick it to itself. Alright, so I got here some PT flowers, and I saw this red and I said this is perfect, but I'm not quite sure because I don't want to cover all the beautiful collage that we had. But this purplish, or very dark purple, it's not working for me, so I'm thinking that I'm gonna have to go with the red flower. This one also works, but they are big flowers and I don't have anything smaller, so we will have to make it work. Now what I like from this flower though is that it has some gold accents that always adds to the collage, and I need another piece. This one is not gonna work, and so I don't know if using these two together or... Okay, this one is gonna work better because they are maybe the same color, so we're gonna keep this. But first we're gonna use this stencil, And I'm gonna put this purple away because we're not gonna use it. Okay, let me get my brush here, and I'm using the distress ink. I have the small one and I have the big one. I actually like the small one, the small version better because it's easier to put close by. Alright, I'm gonna get all of these away too because it's a little bit stressful to have everything close. And then I'm gonna keep this tissue paper close by because I still feel like I'm gonna need it. Okay, so I'm gonna use my brush to add some of this stencil here, and it's a very pretty stencil. And I'm gonna use another design to go in the bottom as well. I really don't need it to be too strong, like very clear lines or defined lines. I just want it to be a little bit not so empty. So I'm gonna put that closer to the girl as well. It's just even a single line would be enough, like that one. All right, the next step, of course, is putting the flowers. Still feel a little bit not totally convinced because I'm covering everything that we did at the beginning, and kind of annoying because we put a lot of pieces there. So maybe we can do it anyway. I just have to add something else in the middle of the coffee paper stamped. So just a little bit of a reference of the book paper would be enough to make me happy. So like this one. And so I think this is the right way to go. So what I'm gonna do is just paste this piece, and just please bear with me because I'm very slow crafter. I still try to get my stuff done fast, but I paste slow and cut slow sometimes. And apparently open very slow stickers too. I don't know how to open this. It takes a while sometimes, but we're gonna find it. And I think we have the right position. And again, we're using a lot of neutral colors, so having these big pieces, I feel like although the protagonism goes a lot into the flowers, because the lady is still in a transparent background, she still pops up, which is what I was going for. I wanted her to be the main piece, but I knew that I was gonna need some help. Now I'm cutting this flower because I think that I don't need the stem on that one. I think this is enough, and I like how it looks like. It's just too much plastic in the edges, so I'm gonna cut it not everywhere because there are some gold dots in the outside as well, in the outside border. So I think that this looks more or less how I wanted it to look. And I also like the idea of having oversized flowers close to my main piece. It makes her look in a fantasy world, a very romantic fantasy world, like in a beautiful forest or something. And now this is the moment when I knew that I was gonna need this tissue paper, so I'm just gonna fold it and paste it. And I kind of like making kind of like an accordion with this, because this is not a heavy paper, it's just very lightweight, that I think it's worth it to have something distressed in the piece. And so I think that should be the way to go. And again, I'm gonna paste it, and again, bear with me please. So I'm adding just one dot in the pieces there, and then pasting in the back of the paper, and I'm gonna put that in this main piece. And I like that this 3/4 is kind of a cardboard. It's not super high, heavy duty or large weight, but it's thick enough to be a very good bookmark, because I don't like when the bookmarks are either too thin or too thick. especially when it's too thick. I feel like my book doesn't go back to the right place after I remove the bookmark. If you're reading a page for, or you're leaving your bookmark for too long, which happens to me because sometimes I read 2 or 3 books at the same time. I have problems, yes, I know. Um, but I read sometimes 2 or 3 books at the same time, usually refer to the same subject. And so what happens is I leave the bookmarks for a while in 1 or 2 of the books, and then when I move the bookmark to another place, the book doesn't quite close well. It happens mostly with paper cover books than with the hardcover books. But that's the reason because I like this cardboard, because it's not super heavy, but it's still heavy enough to be a good bookmark. Anyway, adding a little bit more of details here, and I decided to go for also a little bit of a gold kind of washi tape. And I'm trying to finish this project in 20 minutes. It's gonna be a little bit more than that probably, because I'm already in the 20 minutes mark, but close enough. And I think that the only things that are missing at this point are maybe this phrase that I'm gonna be adding at the very bottom. And this tape is one of my favorites actually. I really prefer other kinds of PT tapes, but having words is just really useful. This one doesn't have that many, but the phrases are well written. And so I'm cutting this and putting this in my bookmark. And again, as I mentioned, I didn't want to cover this beautiful embossed uh, finish in the paper, so I'm trying to I need to move this. I want this to align this very well. I don't peel completely the piece, as you know, just so it gives me like kind of the possibility to do this, not a mistake, but to position my piece in the right place, like so. I think that now it's looking better, and it looks really good. I'm gonna make the hole here, and I gathered this beautiful ribbon when I was in the other room, and I was thinking this is perfect for these girls in the swing, because they have a um, very romantic kind of vibe. So this red, orange, and purple yarn is just so beautiful. Anyway, this is the final product. I really enjoyed making these. They do look great in the books. Look at this, it just looks fantastic. I'm really happy with the final version. I think that this is probably the best bookmark I have made so far for myself. So I hope that you like it. If you did, please consider subscribing.